guys, it is freezing out here on the plains of Oklahoma, but you know what it's not? It's not crazy windy, and it's not crazy rainy like it has been the past few days. So I can actually get some guitar building done. So let's go ahead and set up shop and see what I come up with. Here's to you guys. All right guys, so today I've got something that's very special to me, okay? What I have here is a kit that I never planned to build for my channel. It's something that I've been hoarding for myself. And once you see what's in there, you'll know exactly why. Okay, you can't get these anymore. I had some insider information about the last shipment of these coming to the US, and I'm guessing that's because of a lawsuit. So I snatched one up real quick for myself, but I never intended to build it for my channel because I didn't want to be like, hey guys, this is how you can build your DREAM Rickenbacker yourself. But just kidding, you can't actually do it because they don't exist anymore. If you search the internet far and wide, sometimes you can find these popping up from China from time to time, but there's no place in the US that sells them, so I wasn't actually going to do a demonstration on how to build it. I wasn't going to do a review of the actual kit itself or anything like that. So I was just going to hoard it for myself and build it in my free time, of which I have zero of, but instead, I actually found, I think, a better purpose for it. So this is my cousin-in-law, Josh, who I've been getting to know over the last couple months as I've been staying here in Oklahoma, and he's just got like a really cool story. So why don't you go ahead and tell us your story?
Well, you know, I grew up like a normal kid, and my ambition in life was to play music, and played in rock bands and chased the dream. And somewhere along the way, like many other people, I got sidetracked by addiction. Drugs and alcohol, you know, started out just kind of as a thing that a lot of us did, and ended up kind of enveloping my entire life and really ruining my life and stealing my dreams and my plans and kind of left me in a very bad state.
Good grief, it is cold outside. I'm gonna need a lot more coffee, I think, to make it through this build. This sound hole right here looks really cheesy. Now, it doesn't look like a Rickenbacker at all, which I'm good with, because honestly, when I'm done with this kit, I don't necessarily want people looking at this guitar and going, whoa, cool Rickenbacker. I want them to look at this kit and go, whoa, that's a cool custom guitar. Where did you get that? So I'm gonna modify this a little bit to make it look less cheesy, but still have a really cool, I think, custom guitar vibe to it, as opposed to just a blatant Rickenbacker ripoff. All right, it took me a couple of tries, but I came up with a design that I think looks pretty cool, kind of classy and aggressive all at the same time. In order to make these little intricate cuts, I'm not gonna be able to get a jigsaw in there because this piece is already glued down and the bit is gonna be too deep. And then using a router, I won't be able to get some of these really intricate cuts. The router bits are too big. So I'm gonna be using my dremel here with a multi-purpose cutting bit, and these are cool. I mean, usually you can use it as a router if you have your little shroud that goes over it, but I seem to have misplaced mine. So I'm just gonna freehand it. Hopefully it works out, but I think if I can just get the majority of the wood out of there, then I can touch it up with some files and it'll look pretty good. And people always criticize me for wearing gloves with rotary tools. I understand your logic, but it's cold outside and I wanna be able to use my fingers, so I'm wearing gloves.
Many people in my life, you know, assumed that surely he's hit bottom by now, and it just got worse and worse. At the worst in my life, you know, completely disconnected from my family, homeless at one point, unemployed, drinking every morning, using drugs just to make it through the day. And you know, a lot of people who've never experienced this in life sometimes look at you and say, why don't you just get your act together? And by this time, the compounding effects of all your bad decisions are on top of you. So even when you're trying to get free from addiction, the weight of everything that you've brought on yourself and financial ruin and all these things, it almost feels impossible to come out from under that. And so for me, at my lowest, I really didn't want to go on anymore. I didn't know if there was any hope or point to life. And, even had thought about killing myself at some point, which was the lowest.
You guys know that I'm not a super huge fan of Rickenbacker bass tone, so I never used Rickenbacker pickups in any of my Rickenbacker style basses, but I do like Rickenbacker guitar tone, and so I bought these Rickenbacker pickups. This one's actually brand new, never used, off of Reverb, and then I think this neck pickup was in fact used, so a gently used neck pickup and a never used bridge pickup. I got them both for $100, so killer deal. So I am gonna get some Rick tone out of it. The only problem is that Rickenbacker pickups are actually flush mounted on the body, and that's not gonna work for this build, as you can see, because of the pickup routes. They're routed really awkward for those mini humbuckers, so it's gonna leave gaps if I try to flush mount it. So I think I'm actually going to go ahead and just route out these pickup cavities to fit these. Another thing that I plan to do is, this is a set neck kit, but the neck pocket has tons of play in it, and I absolutely hate set necks. So I'm actually going to convert this into a bolt-on. There's plenty of meat right here, especially if I put on a backing plate and my 2 additional right angle support screws. I don't think that there's going to be any issue mounting this with screws instead, and that'll give me a little more wiggle room as far as getting proper string alignment and neck angle, because I do want to install a Bigsby style tremolo, as well as making sure the neck intonates properly with these pre-drilled holes, which look a little bit off. Actually, that looks pretty good. Well, the scale on this thing actually looks correct with the base of the heel pressed all the way up against there, so that's cool. This guitar kit actually didn't come with a nut. Like none. Like I went through all the hardware twice. Not a single nut in there. I mean, I was planning on replacing it with a Graphtec anyway, but I don't have it on hand. So I'm gonna go see if I can find something that fits so I can at least check my string alignment. So it seems as though the best string spacing that I get is when this heel is pressed all the way up flush and then it's pressed up against this side, leaving a little bit of a gap here that I'm gonna need to shim in. But that seems to give me a nice equal spacing on both my E strings to where this guitar is going to have the maximum playability. So I am just going to need to shim up this side a little bit right here, and luckily I just went to the craft store a couple days ago and I picked up some more 1/32 basswood, and that's what I use for shims. So I also got a couple more sheets of plywood that I used to make pick guards. Look at that. Doesn't that look cool? Some really nice wood grain in these. It was a good trip to Hobby Lobby, but this is what I'm going to use to shim that up. Look at how nice and thin that is. It's going to be perfect. Hold that in place. Let's use the actual neck, why not? There we go. Nice and tight. Look at that. Squeeze a little bit of glue out, so I'll just wipe that away, and then that should dry perfectly. Good grief, that is a tight fit. I probably don't even need to screw this in, honestly. I think I just invented a new type of neck pocket. Press in. All right, another little flaw I found out with this kit is that, oh, there goes the spring. I want to install this Bigsby style tremolo, but this carve doesn't really accommodate it, so I'm actually going to have to carve out a bit more, I think, in order to make it fit in the spot that I want it to. So this is how cold it is outside. My nose just dripped right onto this guitar. So this guitar is officially made with love and my snot. That will do. And now I'm going to do a little jig for you.
Things changed for me when, after many attempts to try my own, a pastor friend reached out to me and said, listen, I know you're trying to change your life, and there's a place that you can do this. And so he invited me into this program where not only did I encounter recovery and community, but I encountered the Lord, and it really radically changed my life to the point where now I get to play music again. And I married your wife's cousin, and have a good life now, and have decided and feel compelled and called to spend the rest of my life helping men the same way that I was helped, by giving them an opportunity to recover, to change their lives, to encounter God, and to go do something with their life.
Alright guys, so I'm really happy with how my gray gradient turned out. I think it's a really good, smooth transition, but it is kind of dull and lifeless, and I did want it to be more brown. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this minwax early American, and I'm gonna mix it with some of these mineral spirits like I did for the gradient, just to kind of thin it out, because see, the thing with stains is they have lots of pigmentation in them. So if I were to put this on full strength, it would actually cover up the black, and I don't want to cover up the black. So I'm just gonna put on a real thin coat of this. I probably did about 2 parts of the early American to 1 part of mineral spirits, and I'm just gonna wipe it on over that. But I'm gonna start on the back just to make sure the color is ballpark what I'm going for. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's flip it over and do this side now. Alright, so I got a couple coats of tung oil on this, and that really just made it even more vibrant. I love the brown tint that we did with the early American stain, and so I'm going to use this stain undiluted on my pickguard. Yeah, very cool. Don't mind the F-18s doing their touch and goes in the background. I called the president to see if he could make it stop for my video, but he didn't take my call. He's too busy being impeached at the moment, apparently. But what's not weird and shady is this pickguard. Ooh, I like that. Well, remember how I told you it was freezing outside? Now it's frozen outside. So I'm up here scraping the snow off the top of my roof. Probably not gonna be building guitars out here today, which means I'll probably have to finish that build inside. All right, so I am pretty excited to try out these Kaish Music vintage style locking tuners. They're really cheap, like $26. They seem to have really smooth action. There's just a couple problems. One, this thing's already drilled for just regular plain style tuners. So I'm gonna have to re-drill, which is no problem because these are actually gonna cover up previous holes, so I won't even know those are there. But 2, these little grommets are supposed to be press fit, and they obviously are way too loose. So I'm gonna have to glue in some shims real quick so that I have a little extra meat in there for them to press into, because I do really want a good solid lockup up here. I'm just using 1/32 basswood, same stuff I use to shim up the neck pocket. There we go. Much tighter fit. And that grommet's going to hold those shims in place while the glue dries. And then this thing just goes through right like that. Perfect. All right. Now I just gotta do that 5 more times. That looks pretty good. You can see right down in there exactly what I did. Just 2 little wood shims to hold that thing nice and centered. Let's go ahead and install those tuners. All right, and I love the look of these vintage style tuners. I love these like smoky ivory tuning pegs. I like that it's not as shiny, it's kind of a dull finish. Very cool. In fact, I think I'm probably gonna end up taking some sandpaper to some of my other chrome parts to make them match a little bit better.
Sunrise Adult Teen Challenge is a 13-month discipleship program and recovery program for men with life-controlling problems. And so what we do here is help men first and foremost recover from addiction, have a safe place to come where they're disconnected from the world, to deal with the root causes of their addiction, because addiction itself isn't the problem, and there's root causes that cause us to live in addiction for years, and then to help them rebuild their life. And our goal in life is to help men get to go home and be fathers to their children, husbands to their wives, and that's really our goal, is to watch people walk out the other side of this place and go do something valuable with their life. And so yeah, we've had people who go on to be pastors, people who have gone to be missionaries, people that have gone on to be, run nonprofits for the homeless or food distribution programs. Many will stay within our network. Everyone who works at our center, with the exception of my wife, is a graduate of the program. So that's the kind of perspective there is, people who understand your plight, people who understand your pain, not just someone who, has studied about this or learned about this, but people who've actually lived through it.
And so that's what I feel like is just really awesome, is because just knowing your story, know how deep and dark and grim your past is, and how the Lord has been able, through a ministry like this, transform your life, and now you are leading other people out of the addiction, and these other people are going on to lead other people, and it's just this awesome effect that you guys in your ministry have. So just being here and seeing the life transformation that's happening in the people in this program has been really inspiring to me, and that I wanted to bless you in your ministry, so I built you a guitar.
Come on.
I can't wait to show you, and I'm a little bit sad because it might be the best guitar that I've ever built. But at the same time, I just really want to inspire you. I know you're 10 times the guitar player that I am. In fact, all of the music clips that you guys have heard up until this point have been him playing the guitar, not me, which is why you're like, oh man, that sounds so much better than usual. All right, this thing is way too shiny to match the other hardware I have installed. So to dull it up a little bit, I'm just gonna take some 320 grit sandpaper and some 600 grit sandpaper. And I'm just going to kind of take off some of the shine, and it's going to allow, I think, some of that kind of copper sort of color to come through. It's going to give it a little more worn out look. It should match a little better. I'm installing this roller bridge that I got, again, from the same company that made the lock-in tuners, Kaish, however you pronounce it. Anyway, obviously not sponsored by them. I paid for these on Amazon just like you would. And I think it's going to be really cool for helping with the tuning stability. So I know working in ministry, you don't always get the opportunity to afford all the gear that you would love to have. But I did look at the few guitars that you do have, and I noticed what was missing from your collection. And as much as it pains me to give this one away, like I said, I know you're going to get good use out of it. Are you ready to see it?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow. Dude, that is so amazing. Dan!
Play it. Take it for a test ride. See how it feels.
Dude, that is beautiful.
Does it feel good?
Yes. It feels beautiful, or great, and it looks beautiful.
Awesome.
Dude, thank you so much, man. This is possibly the best gift anyone's ever given me, so it's pretty amazing.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
I love you, brother.
Oh, I love you too. I appreciate it.
Let's go plug it in and see how it
Oh,
sounds.
cool. Awesome.
Now that you've had it for a day, you've noodled around on it, what do you think of it? I'm dying to know.
Well, I mean, like, no flattery intended. This is on par with any $2,000 or $3,000 guitar I've ever played. Obviously, it's beautiful to look at, but it plays so smooth. The tone is amazing on it.
If you were to pick up this guitar in a guitar center and play on it, how much would you expect it to cost?
$3,000.
Really?
$3,000.
So what if I told you that I have less than $400 invested in that?
I would say that's amazing. Those guys are making a ton of money on guitars, I guess.
Seriously.
You know, I couldn't believe $400, man. This guitar is amazing. It's the coolest guitar I have, by far.
That's awesome. I want to encourage you guys, if you know someone that's struggling with addiction, or if you know someone whose life has been transformed as a result of a ministry like this, you know how powerful it is. If you guys want to step up and give to the ministry that they are doing here, you can. How can they do that?
Well, you can text the word give to the number that I believe you're going to put on the screen.
Okay.
And also, you can go to the Facebook page.
I'll put it down in the description. Facebook down in the description, or text give to the number right there.
You know, we're not a large corporation with, CEOs and people who make seven-figure incomes at the top. This is a very grassroots. Every dollar that goes to this ministry directly impacts somebody's life. So thank you for doing that, and thank you to anyone who is giving. We really appreciate it.